I'm going to tell you a story, but the first thing I have to understand is time doesn't work the way you think it does. And you can call me Oracle because I'm the one who's talking to you. Welcome to the call. Alright, so lildims is going to continue being a problem for a little bit while, I'm pretty sure. But I am determined to not let that little POS stand in my way. So just try to ignore. I'm pretty sure it's actually trying to like slip in a Samohana. Like I'm pretty sure it's trying to like slip in a hypnosis. So like make note of it and be like, wow, that's dumb. I'm not gonna do that. And you'll be fine. So be aware. That's what lildims is probably trying to do. It's probably trying to get a Samohana to do a Balena Karyati because it's like a POS like that. It thinks it's so sick. But anyway, that's not the point. My point isn't to talk about lildims. My point is to get on talking about some Sanskrit or Sanskrit. Alright, so we're on to prefixes, and prefixes and suffixes are like mad important in Sanskrit. So far, our core lesson has covered two major areas. Sanskrit sounds, how they're pronounced, what they're like, and how they interact with each other through Sandhi. That's the part I'm going to circle back to. And Sanskrit sentences, what they're like, what kinds of words they use, and how these words behave. This is because of me being, like, honestly well acquainted with the sounds and the alphabet because of, I mean, like, I have over 100 episodes or something of, like, I know over 100 episodes of me basically, like, almost every episode having some Sanskrit thrown in there. So, like, there's like, in theory, my vocabulary just by itself. Anyway, as we come to the end of our core lesson, we will study the third and final major area of Sanskrit grammar, how to make new Sanskrit words. Let's start by learning about prefixes. Prefixes are small groups of sounds that we add to the beginning of something else. Ga, chanti, to, gachanti. They go to, they come, or go here. Most prefixes are uninflected words from the previous one. By adding a prefix to a word, we can change its basic meaning. Verb prefixes. Verb prefixes are prefixes we add to a verb root. These prefixes usually change the root's basic meaning in one of three different ways. Often the prefixes changes the root's meaning in a straightforward way. To gachanti, to becomes gachanti. Here towards plus they go becomes they come, go or go here. Sometimes the prefix creates a more idiomatic change. Ava plus gachanti, to ava gachanti. Down plus they go becomes they understand, which is fascinating to me. And sometimes the prefix intensifies the word's basic meaning or produces essentially no change. Let's learn about two prefixes here. The first is a. A has a basic sense of here or towards. Notice how it affects the basic meaning of the verbs in the examples below. Gachanti to agachanti. They go to they come or go here. Nayanti to nayanti. They lead to they bring or they lead here. Next is suffix sam, prefix sam. Sam is the basic meaning of with or together. Again, notice how it affects the basic meaning of the verbs below. Gachanti to samgachanti. They go to they meet or go together. Nayanti to samnayanti. They lead to they unite, lead others together. Prefixes can also be combined. Up above we learned gachanti and samgachanti. So together samagachanti so here with together. So they go here together. Gachanti to samagachanti, they come together, they convene, they go together here. Nayanti, samanayanti, they lead to they gather, they lead together here. Nominal prefixes. Nominal prefixes are prefixes we add to a nominal stem. These prefixes usually modify the stem's meaning in a straightforward way. Soka, asoka. Grief, sorrow, without grief or sorrow. Again, let's learn about two prefixes here. The first is a. A has a different meaning in different contexts. But when attached to a nominal, as opposed to a verb, a has the basic meaning of not. Himsa, ahimsa, violence or nonviolence. Bala, abala, strength to without strength, weak or powerless. If a stem starts with a vowel, we use on instead. Ista to anista, wanted to unwanted. The prefix is related to this prefix is related to the prefixes in words like incredible, amoral, and unable. Next is the prefix sa. Like sound, sa has the basic meaning of with or together. Bala, sabala, strength with strength, strong or powerful. All right. Lildim just said something really stupid. I'm kind of pissed about it. Suffixes. In the previous lesson, we learned that prefixes are a small group of sounds that add to the beginning of something. A group of sounds that we add at the end of something is called a suffix. Sanskrit has many different kinds of suffixes. Verb and nominal endings are all suffixes. So are the suffixes that turn verb roots into verb stems. Ni plus a to naya, lead into and lead. Ni plus ya to nesya, lead to will lead. Ni plus e, naya, lead to make lead. Sound changes. Sanskrit suffixes can cause many different sound changes. Most commonly, a suffix will change the root's vowel change. Usually, the root's vowel will become a compound vowel, and that vowel might change due to sandhi rules. Ni plus a becomes ne plus a becomes naya. In English, we call these kinds of changes vowel strengthening. The idea is that a compound vowel is stronger than a simple vowel it comes from. You can see some examples of vowel strengthening example below. Ni plus a, naya. Ni plus ya is becomes net plus ya, nesya. Ni plus e becomes nai plus e becomes naya, or nai. So as we know Sanskrit sounds well, we can see a connection between the way, basically this talks about how sounds are connected between I, I, A, and A. I is a root vowel, and I are its compound vowels, and A and A appear due to sandhi. This is why it's so important to understand Sanskrit sounds and sandhi rules. Root suffixes are suffixes that we add to get directly to a verb root. Usually they create nouns and adjectives. There are too many suffixes to list here, but let's consider two examples. The first is the suffix a. We add a has many functions, but commonly it creates abstract nouns. Vid to Veda. No to knowledge, one of the four Vedas. G to Jaya, conquer to conquest or victory. Yush to yoga, yoke, join or unite to yoking, junction or union, or yoga. In the last example above, note that the J becomes a G. The sounds C and J often become K and G when certain suffixes follow them. Next is the suffix ta. Ta does not strengthen the root's vowel. When added to a root that means to X, this suffix usually means has been X, so it puts it in the past tense. G, the jita. Conquer, has been conquered. Yush, the yukta. Yoke, join, unite, has been yoked, joined, or united. Yush becomes yuk due to sandhi. Kr and ta. Krta, do, make, to has been done and has been made. Can we use prefixes and suffixes together? Yes, that's actually a thing that I'm pretty sure happens all the time. Yeah, for example, let's use the prefix som that we used in the previous lesson. In addition to meaning with or together, this prefix can also mean completely or fully. Samji to samjaya, completely conquer, complete victory, but also sanjay, a name. Let's try combining sam with the root kur above. By a specific grammatic rule, this combination becomes samskar with an extra s. Does samskar look familiar to you? Samskar plus ta equals samskar ta. Completely or make fully, refined or perfect, perfected or refined. Sanskrit. Basically, the name of Sanskrit means that it has been perfected or refined over time. Essentially, that's essentially what its name means. So samskar ta, Sanskrit. Nominal suffixes. Nominal suffixes are suffixes that we add to nominal stems. As before, there are too many to list here, but as before, let's consider two examples. The first is the suffix in. When we add in to a word that means X, we create the word that means characterized by X. Oh, that's fascinating. So yoga, plus in, yogin. Yoga characterized by yoga, or a yoga vieta or yogi. Next is the suffix tva. When we add tva to a word that means X, we create a word that means Xness. So, yoga plus tva, yoga tva, means yoganess, the state of yoga. Not even joking. Alrighty. And, 10 minutes, I can finish this out. So, compounds. This is our last core lesson. So I'm probably going to circle back and do at least one episode that's going to be going over actual, like, sounds. And I'll probably grab my little notebook that I showed way in the beginning and go over the individual Devangari for those sounds. But this is our last core lesson. Here we'll learn about compounds, one of the Sanskrit's most notable features. Compounds are words that we make by combining multiple words. Compounds are short and simple, and they save time for both speaker and listener. Gajanam Vanam, Gajanam, Vanam, Gajavanam, the forest of elephants. Sanskrit uses compounds extensively. It really does. In some styles of Sanskrit, almost every sentence will have a compound, and these compounds can also be quite long and intricate. In this lesson, we will learn about two basic types of compounds. In our first type of compound, we have two words that are in a list together. Here are some English examples of this type. Indochina, India, and China, tractor-trailer, a tractor and trailer. In Sanskrit, these compounds are called Dvanda compounds. The word Dvanda literally means pair. Any set of words that could be combined with the word ka and can be combined into a Dvanda. So Ramasita ka, Ramasita, Rama and Sita. Rama, Sita, Laxmana ka, Ramasita, Laxmana, Ramasita, and Lakshmana. Tatpurusa. In our second type of compound, the first verb describes the second in some way. Here are some English examples of this type. Wallpaper, paper for a wall, chessboard, a board for chess, beekeeper, a keeper of bees. Makes sense, right? In all these compounds, as opposed to little dims that just refuses to make sense. In all of these compounds, the second word is the main idea, and the first word modifies it. In Sanskrit, this kind of compound is called Tatpurusa compound. Here are some Sanskrit examples of Tatpurusa compounds. Ramasya Mata, Ramamata, Rama's mother. Ramasya Putra, Ramaputra, Rama's son. Ramasya Patni, Ramapatni, Rama's wife. The word Tatpurusa, his man, comes from the word tat, he, that one, and parusa, man. So the word Tatpurusa is itself a Tatpurusa compound. Tasya Parusa, Tatpurusa, his man. Compounds are understanding compounds. Compounds are easy to understand if we know their context. For example, the word wallpaper probably has a clear meaning to you, and you might even have seen or felt wallpaper before. But someone from another culture might create interpretations like paper that is also a wall, as in I built this house with wallpaper. Paper that is on a wall, as in I hung my diploma next to my other wallpapers. That's an interesting point. I'm really getting tired of little dims being like this. These interpretations don't occur to you because you know the cultural context. Oh, that's an interesting thing that, as I understand, Japanese in particular, there's this, I'm going to take a brief sidebar. There's this, I forget where I read about it, but it was about inference, direct inference culture versus implied inference culture. Or inference culture versus reference culture. I forget which exact term it is. I'm just coming off the cuff, so I don't have this research. But anyway, my point is that a lot of apparently in Japanese, a lot of word choice is dependent on understanding Japanese culture. From everything from pop culture to like ancient culture. Like it is deeply based in knowing Japanese. Japanese itself is based in knowing Japanese culture, in understanding what word choice to use. And that's like, I think in a lot of ways that's might be a similar way for English. not in a broad strokes English dictionary definition of the words kind of way, but in a regional sort of way, in terms of like like in Louisiana you call it nons, and in Kentucky you call it level. It's things that are like it's like knowing about like the gardens in Savannah, I guess. It's knowing about things from individual regions and and like local cultural slang, I guess. Like the difference between, I guess, Hokkaido. Like, there's probably a vast difference for someone who's outside of Japanese who doesn't really speak it. Who's like, I've learned like in theory I've learned katakana and hiragana, but I haven't really practiced any Japanese words in terms of like writing them. But there's probably a huge, massive difference between like Hokkaido Japanese, like from the northern island, that in many ways, like people from the main island of Japan don't really consider Japan in itself, but like it is. In terms of borders of the country, it is. Like you can't ignore that. But like sometimes culturally they feel like they should. It's sort of like something specific to Japanese culture that I'm trying to like observe without really commenting on. Anyway, um many Sanskrit compounds are the same way. If you know their cultural context and are familiar with them, they are easy to understand. If not, they can be difficult to understand. But what do we do if we don't understand the culture at all? Thankfully, there's some basic rules of thumb that we can use to tell compounds apart. For example, if words in a compound are all names or all foods or all flowers, that is, they have the same type, then the compound is probably a Devanda. Devandva. There are some other basic rules that we can use for other types of compounds. We'll discuss those rules in a later lesson. And that is on page 92. I'm going to circle back and continue from the beginning. But for now, this is Oracle, and apparently still little dims. I'm gonna sing through it even though it's really peeing me off. It's really, this little dims is really ticking me off. Anyway, this is a hazard when dealing with tulpa sometimes. The problem with like little dims is like it stabbed itself in its tulpa. Like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But anyway, this is Oracle and apparently also Little Dims. Singing myself dreams safely out there. Especially keep your Sunday nice and strengthening your vowels so you sound true clear when you are speaking English or Sanskrita. Be helpful to keep a dictionary near if you got any questions about the words you'll be using throughout, but that'll be fine for now. Dream safely out there from Oracle me to all of you out there in the weeds.